Hi guys, it's a Chookman and Hogan here today. You good boy. Say hello to everyone. Hello, my name's Hogan. Guys, I'm going to tell you another story. As I said, I tell you some sad stories and I tell you some happy stories. Well, this is a happy story, but you had to see it to believe it. I was with a friend. We were over at Northlands this particular time, and this is when I got diagnosed with pancreatitis. Now, guys, if you don't know what pancreatitis is, you get it after abusing alcohol. You bleed out. That's what pancreatitis does to you. It destroys your insides and you bleed out. That's all I can tell you about pancreatitis. The specialist told me when I got it, pancreatitis, no more drinking or you die. So I got that part of it. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the story. I had a friend at the time and we were over in Northlands. And anyway, this particular day it was very busy. There was people everywhere. You'd think it was Christmas Day, but it wasn't. That's how many people were standing around Northlands. Anyway, I was talking to a friend of mine. We were talking about collectible cars and whatever. And I got a tap on the shoulder. And I looked around and here's this tiny little lady. She's only tiny. And I looked at my mate and I looked at him and I looked at her and I thought, she goes, hello, how are you? I said, yeah, good. She goes, I want to ask you a question. And I said, what's that? She goes, can I pray for you? I said, what? Sorry, love, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in Satan. I don't believe in all that stuff. And she goes, no, listen to me. You're very sick and I want to pray for you. And I'm looking at my mate thinking, yeah, all right, no worries. So she put her hand on my shoulder, and my mate seen this lady. She put her hand on my shoulder, and she started praying in tongues. Now, for you people that don't know what tongues are, it's a different way of praying. The native Indians used to pray in tongues. So she put her hand on my shoulder, and she was doing all this praying in tongues. And you could hear her, and I'm sort of rolling my eyes. I'm looking at my mate. Anyway, we happened to be looking away from her. She took her hand off my shoulder, and then I was just about to turn around, and I looked at my mate, and he was white as a ghost. And I said, what are you standing there looking like that for? He looked at me and said, no. Did you see where that lady went? So we both turned around, and she was gone. I looked at him and went, what? He looked at me at the same time we turned around and went, did you see that? I was too late looking around to where she went. So anyway, I started looking around in the crowd and I couldn't see her. We looked everywhere. We looked over there. We looked over there. You had to be there to see this happen. Anyway, I said to my mate, are we losing the plot? There was a lady, yeah, and my mate goes, yeah, but she disappeared. When we turned around, she was gone. We don't know where she went. We looked in the crowd, we looked over there, we couldn't find her. She was that quick, she just disappeared. And I'm not losing the plot because I asked my mate the same question. We both turned around because we had our back to her like this, and she was behind here. And she had her hand on my shoulder and she was praying. When she let go of my shoulder, I felt it. She lifted her hand. I waited a couple of minutes, not even seconds, a couple of seconds. I turned around to my mate, and my mate's got this weird look on his face. I said, what are you standing there looking like that for? He goes, did you see where she went? And I said to him, I don't know. And we went looking for her. We couldn't find her. Anyway, a week later, I ended up in hospital with pancreatitis. It's just weird how this lady out of the blue, and I don't believe in God and I don't believe in Jesus and I don't believe in lots of things. But I know one thing, guys, she was there because I felt her hand and I heard her voice. I'm not hallucinating or going crazy, and I had a witness. My mate was standing right beside me when she come up to me. Only a little lady, she would have stood about this high. And so it's not, it's just a weird story, a true story, and it's just weird it happened. And then a week later I ended up in intensive care in Epping Hospital a week later with pancreatitis. I just find that story very weird and strange. One, how come a lady comes out of nowhere, tells me you're very sick and I need to pray for you? And we did see her. We were sober, we weren't drinking at that stage. And I seen her, I felt her hand go on my shoulder. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that story. It's a weird and happy story. She did come up to me, she did touch me on the arm, and she did pray for me. And then a week later, I ended up with pancreatitis. This is years ago. This happened 10 years ago. But isn't it weird how things happen? You know, it's like your mind plays tricks with you. But I asked my mate, and he had this stupid look on his face as like he'd seen a ghost. And I turned around and I said, "What are you looking like that for?" He goes, No, she's gone. And I said, "Where did she go?" Anyway, as we walked home, it played on my mind. And then a week later, I got rushed to hospital and had pancreatitis. So, I don't know. I just thought I'd share this story, and it was just weird.